Hello, Abraham. I was thinking about the combination between the answer that you gave to Costa, the person before the segment on of refreshment, and to this lady. And I would like to know what's kind of the perfect combination between focusing on the outside, on giving, on serving. And
doesn't matter what you're focused upon as long as it feels good while you focus. Let's just start with the premise that we're wanting to impart to you, that connection is what you're all about. You want to connect with who you are. And so if that is what you are about, if that's what you want in this moment, then in what way can you bring that about with the greatest ease? That's the question that you want to have in your mind, right?
Okay, so I have heard from some teachers that the best way to abundance, to true abundance, is to give and serve the most and the best.
It's not the action. A lot of people talk about tithing. They notice that when they begin tithing that they find more prosperity. And we say the reason for that is if you feel that you have enough that you can share, then your sense of well-being is your point of attraction, so more comes. If you are tithing or helping out of your awareness of how abundant you are, then you just perpetuate abundance. But if you feel taken advantage of, or like you shouldn't have to share in that way, but you do it anyway, well, the action doesn't matter because you still feel like you have deprivation, and the law of attraction is responding to your deprivation rather than your feeling of abundance. So it isn't the action that you perform, it's the attitude or emotion that you are feeling while you are performing it, which means it's under which influence are you? Are you under the influence of alignment and abundance? Are you under the influence of shortage consciousness? If you are helping in order to get more marks on the chart, that's under a different influence than if you are just tuned in, tapped in, turned on to who you are and feeling the impulse or inspiration to act. Yes?
Yes. I had a conversation with a friend of mine today that said that true abundance comes by know your value, know your true value. Instead of giving it to others, to know it by yourself. So in your perspective, what would be more true?
Well, that was a little confusing. Can you say it again?
True abundance
comes
because you know your true value, not because you give it to others, because you know and you own your true value.
But again, it isn't about whether you give it to others or whether you don't. That's an accurate statement. How you feel is your point of attraction. But there's more to this. Talk to us about what this is about.
This is about me knowing my own value. I have the desire to know exactly who I really am.
Well, when do you want to know it?
Now?
Yeah. And what is the greatest value that you can be? What is the greatest value that you are? And what is the greatest value that you could offer to someone else?
When I'm truly connected to who I am.
You already said that in your first desire. So being the whole of who you are is the answer to all that you are wanting to receive, then why is there confusion in this question?
Because I think I don't trust 100% that that's the path, and that my path of least resistance won't lead me to the bigger
You know,
me.
what makes it hard for people is that for most people who are accustomed to viewing life through their physical senses, so they're watching and listening and so on to their own experience in life, and they're watching others, and they come to believe more in the action or the behavior than they do in the vibrational basis behind the behavior. And so that's why they begin making rules about, well, if you do this, this is right, and if you do this, it's wrong. And we say, but don't leave out of the equation the vibrational stance from which you are offering that behavior. There are a lot of people that are doing what they believe is the right thing to do from an attitude of fear or guardedness or persecution or so many of those emotions that don't feel very good. And so any action that they are offering while they are feeling that way is more than counterbalanced by the law of attraction's response to how they're feeling. So their action is not a factor at all. The factor is only how they feel. And that's what makes people confused. They don't understand, well, I did this and I did this. I did all the right things. I got all the right marks on the chart. Why am I not thriving? And we say, you got to back up a little bit. You've got to think about what your vibrational stance is from which the inspiration to act comes from. And so that's why we continue to emphasize how in alignment are you with who you are. So now I want to make a big impact. I want to. Why?
Because I want to share what's possible in life.
Yeah, we know you do, but why?
Because I want to have
because
fun.
Do you know what you have to share that is the biggest thing that you could ever share? Understanding and how to hook into the real stuff. What could be more worthy of sharing than knowledge about alignment, knowledge about true clarity, knowledge about point of attraction? You could give someone money or a house or a car. You could spend a lot of time with them, cheering them up. But the thing that you could give them that is the greatest value of all is an example of someone who easily and almost always is tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Is your example of alignment that is your greatest gift to share, you see. And so share that. Does it not seem like enough?
It must be enough.
You want to give them some little piece of something that you've gathered or attracted, or you want to give them the key to their own avalanche of abundance and well-being and clarity?
I want to give them like the tricks to connect to their intuition, to their inner being.
We're not asking you to stop sharing, and we're not asking you to not be generous, because often that inspiration comes from the whole of you. You are a cooperative component. You'll be in a moment. This is one of the most wonderful things to understand, that your inner being knows where you are in relationship to everything you want, and everyone else's inner being knows where they are in relationship to everything that they want. And inner beings are all about the path of least resistance. So very often you may be inspired to do something to or with someone you know, or maybe a stranger, and the inspiration is so strong and it feels like such a good idea that nothing could keep you from doing it, because there is someone with pure desire who is in a place where you can be the cooperative component. The law of attraction is all about cooperative components. And so when your dominant intention, something that you achieve frequently, is to be tuned in to your broadest source, to your inner being who's in cahoots with all the other inner beings, and you get an impulse to share yourself in some way. It might be through your words, it might be through some behavior or action, it might be some way that you're gifting someone. We want you to be that kind of cooperative component. We're just asking you to make sure that you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, so that it comes from the path of least resistance, not from some path of wanting to compensate for someone else. Almost all giving that almost all humans offer on this planet to one another brings with them the gift of what they've offered and another message that says, I do this for you, for I see you cannot do it for yourself. And that's why they're not all that grateful. That's why so often they receive and they receive and they receive and they receive the stuff that you're giving them, and they become more and more demanding and more entitled and more, because they still don't have what they really want, which is their own connection to source energy. And it is not satisfying in any way, not ever, ever, to be the recipient of someone else's intention. Satisfaction comes only from you having an intention and you lining up with your intention, which means it's an energy-based thing first and foremost, and whatever follows on the streams of that next, you see. So you can't give enough to someone that they will really be a happy recipient of it if they have not first received the gift of understanding their own value, their own worthiness, their own ability to receive, you see. And you can't teach that to someone else until you've got it for yourself. And there's so many people who use the words and the music don't match. They use the words, I'm abundant and therefore I want to give to you, but they're in a compensating sort of attitude. They're giving out of guilt. They're doing so well that they give out of guilt, or they're doing so well or they give out of pity, or out of worry, or out of awareness of someone's plight, you see. You cannot uplift another when you are aware of their plight. Their inner being is not aware of their plight. Their inner being is aware of what the plight caused them to ask for. And their inner being is focused upon who they really are. Their inner being is always focused upon where they're going, the path of least resistance to where they're going. So sometimes you get tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and you are the key component in being the cooperative component that helps this person to receive something that they want. But you will never feel that way if they are not truly in the receiving mode. And when they are truly in the receiving mode and you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and you're the one that offers them something, you'll have a moment where they will feel the wholeness of who you are, and they will feel the wholeness of who they are, and they will not feel like they now owe something to you. They will understand that it was the dance of the universe because you understand it, you see. Humans want to gather together their piles of goodies, their piles of abundance, and then in different degrees they want to utilize them. That's all a wonderful thing. We just want you to know that this pie of abundance is growing exponentially in perfect proportion to the desires that are bouncing out of the contrast that people are living. And every single person has their ownership stake in this vortexual pie. But if you feel like they don't have an ownership stake and you're wanting to share your ownership stake, what's that saying? Oh yeah, I'm tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and I'm prosperous. And I've got ownership stake in the abundance pile. But I see that you are not doing quite so well. So here, have a little taste of my pie. Not too much, not too much. Have a little taste of my pie. And they say, thank you. Thank you. They don't feel much satisfaction from that. They might feel a little temporary relief because you bailed them out of something. But their void isn't being filled. Their void can only be filled when they understand their ownership stake in the abundance pie.
Yes.